Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today, I know it looks like a tier list. It's really not a tier list, to be honest. This is a video talking about Super Heavy Samurai Engine, and how after the ban list, it almost feels like regular Super Heavy Samurai is just so decimated that it may not even be worth playing altogether. Maybe it's a nice rogue deck, but I really don't think it's high level meta anymore. And so the idea here is I actually think the Super Heavy Samurai Engine, like Wakuchi, Bike both at 3, and then maybe like a couple of those other extenders to be able to search throughout like a small little package combo, could be more worth in other decks than it actually is in its own. So today we're talking about all the best options to kind of throw them in and why. I'm not going to spend too much time on any one, but the whole basis here is that this engine doesn't take your normal summon. It gets you either a rank 4, a Synchro 8, or if you start with Bike, just straight up Barone, or any Synchro 10 really with XL, or a Link 2. And so those are the generic pieces that are going to be the connecting pieces that kind of connect Super Heavy Samurai to the other engines of the decks we're looking at today. And that's kind of what we have in this top category here. This engine makes Danglong without normal summon. It makes any of these rank 4s, Gear Gigant X, Gallant Granite, King of the Feral Imps, Force Strix, or the new Battling Boxer guy. If you don't know, this guy just searches any Fire Warrior. So yeah, that's pretty insane. Or Beyond the Pendulum, right? So a bunch of these searching card, connecting piece cards to an engine. So let's get into it. Oh, this should be like nice potential and poo. Cool. Makes sense. I'm going to start with Super Heavy Samurai. I'll put it in potential. I still don't want to say that the deck is dead, but I think it's probably around the rogue status, so that's probably perfect for tier 2 here for what we have. Moving on. Tellarknights. Tellarknights are really interesting because Caduceus is a full-on generic rank 4, so just being able to make him with Super Heavies before normal summon is quite good, because then that means you can send it to Neb, adding another 1-card starter, and then just kind of normal summoning from there is actually pretty decent. So we'll see, but I think there's potential here for sure. Next up is Photons or Galaxy Eyes. I'll put them in potential as well. They have their rank 4 guy who searches any, I think it's any Photon or Galaxy monster. I don't know exactly what it searches, but it searches the inner archetype cards. Being able to just make that without normal summon, it's not bad, especially for a deck that, like, from what I hear, really lacks extenders. Being able to search stuff and fix your hand with the best cards before you even actually try to go at it is really cool. I'm going to put it in potential. I know this deck has a good amount of pieces. Some people love it, but it's never really shined too well. I'm going to say it's got a little bit of potential. You know what? I'm going to move to sorry. Trap Tricks. I'm going to put Trap Tricks in This is one to me where it just feels completely unnecessary. Yes, there is some synergy. You can make Trap Tricks Rafflesia generically. You can make Pingucula to search one of your normals. But it just feels unnecessary. The deck already has access to that stuff in full. It's not touched on the ban list at all. I think the deck doesn't really need the help. Exorcister definitely goes in poo. It doesn't work because Martha is your single most important card. Even though you could use the Super Heavy Samurai engine to search her, she locks you from doing anything else anyway. You wouldn't even be able to use her if you already did that, so terrible. Springins I'll put in potential. We already know that Springins actually have a pretty high ceiling with some of their combos, but they feel very fragile, and so having an additional engine like this to kind of either bait negates or set up a negate before you even try to play is actually quite nice. Not to mention it makes Springin's Merrymaker to search either Regulus or one of those other cards that Gigantic Sargus can search in your deck, which is very cool. Or you can just make Gear Gigant X and search any machine, level 4 or lower, so that's nice. There's definitely some good stuff going on there. Mathmech. This is the first nice one. Big hit, not huge hit, but a decent hit to them, losing 2 copies of Circular, but it makes their deck way more fragile in that they have to resolve a Sign and Mining, they have to resolve a Small World, they have to resolve an Alan Bershin. But this is one of the better engines to make Alan Bershin because at least it doesn't take your normal, in which case you could already have other normals to kind of help flood the field and kind of offer you value in other ways to still at least get to the Firewall Dark Fluid and at least end on that, even if you don't get all the way to the Circular line and get Super Factorial set up. So I think it's one of the better ones. I do think this definitely has some good potential. Give that a try. Raid Raptors definitely fall to meh to me. This is just a classic example of Force Strix. I just don't think they have anything really awesome to search off of Force Strix. Like, I guess you can get to Y Strix, but then, It feels like the deck doesn't really need it. Blackwing, same thing. They just don't need it. They're fine. They don't really need the assistance. I'm also going to throw Rescue Ace down here. This is another perfect example of a deck that, once we get the 2 new cards in Duelist Nexus, they're not going to need this support. They're not going to need the help of another engine. I think they're going to be totally fine. Cyber Dragons, I think, are interesting, though. Being able to search core without normal summon is really nice. And even just getting that extra body with the Gear Gigant is also kind of nice. I really respect this one. I really do. Not to mention, it also can make the Merrymaker stuff into Regulus, which the deck already kind of wants to play. It really does offer a nice little push to a deck that really welcomes it. I've had times where I've struggled with consistency with Cyber Dragons. I've had times where I've struggled with the ability to play through interaction sometimes. And so being able to get us to some of that stuff is really, really nice. I'm definitely curious about this one. Could be something cool. Earth Machine. I'm going to put Earth Machine in nice. I think people have been way low on Earth Machine for a minute. Now, I get it. Last format, Earth Machine was just kind of bad Super Heavy Samurai. But now, Super Heavy Samurai is bad Super Heavy Samurai. I think this deck is arguably just straight up better playing a small Super Heavy Samurai package than just pure Super Heavy Samurai. I really think they have some nice tools. Super Heavy really adds the ability for a deck like this to really push harder, make stronger boards more consistently, and like push through interaction going second. I'm really kind of interested to mess around with this and see what we can come up with this deck, because there's so many different engines you can take advantage of if you want. So I'm very, very curious to see what we can do here. But I think this deck is being underestimated for sure. Sword Soul. I think Sword Soul needs to be in nice. The deck's already like basically tier 2 right now as is, so also getting the potential to make a Denglong without normal summon is pretty insane. And being able to pop off in those additional combo lines playing this new engine is pretty good. So we'll see. Definitely curious if it's going to be worth it, but you have to respect it. The fact that this deck is already tier 2 and then adding this tool to help you get to Denglong is pretty crazy. Okay, so I'm biased on this one, you guys know I am, but I'm going to put it in nice. I really think Zephyros could be a deck to look out for into this new format. I think with the Super Heavy Samurai engine, this deck gets a really nice buff. You're essentially going to add 6 1-card starters to your deck, to a deck that was already decent consistency-wise. Now the one question will be, is the deck still really going to struggle going second? That'll definitely be something that we need to wait and see where we go with, because we've lost Triple Gamma. We only have 1 Gamma now, which probably means you don't even play it, which has been an awesome piece for this deck over the years. And Shifter's a little bit worse because it does restrict a little bit of what the Super Heavies can do. You may still play it, but okay. So you got to mess around with defensive cards, but I still really think this deck is going to need more respect. I don't know how much it's going to be played, but I really think it could be a deck that can definitely tear through some of the top decks in the format. So I'm biased on it. I know a lot of people won't agree with this, but I'm putting them there. I'm going to put other Pendulum decks right here next to it. In fact, we'll put them above because obviously they're better Pendulum decks in general. This doesn't have to be Draco Slayer specifically. I know Draco Slayer could appreciate this as well, but this could be Pendulum Magicians or one of these other builds for sure. One of these just Pendulum good stuff builds as well. I just think this is one of the best Pendulum engines we've ever seen in terms of just how much value it gets you in terms of bodies on field and getting scales set up. It offers a ton, and I love that. Adamancipator, but we'll just call this the rock pile, the earth pile that the OCG kind of messes around with. It's just not there. It's just not there. Without Block Dragon and that grass looks greener, this engine just doesn't do nearly enough. I still think there could be potential, though. They just have a number of still good cards, and just making Gallant to search a Researcher and kind of just pop off from there is nice, but we need more. The deck just needs something. So we'll put it in potential. You know what? We'll put it in F for now because we know it doesn't do anything now. We just need to see more support come out. So that puts it in F for me. Reptiles also go in F for me. Nothing crazy here. This is just they need more help. They need more support. It is nice to be able to just search any of the reptiles prior to normal summoning. And Imps isn't even a hard once per turn. So if you play multiple of him in the extra, you could go through this turn, like right at the beginning of your turn. I don't even think you have to worry. You don't even have to worry about needing another one, I think. I think he's not hard once per turn. Don't quote me on that, actually. I'm pretty sure. But if he's not, whatever, it's still, like, good to just search your best reptile starter and go from there. Unfortunately, this doesn't get you Snake Rain. That's what the deck needs, is just a way to open Snake Rain, like, every turn. But yeah. Insects are interesting too. I'm going to put them in potential. There's definitely some cool potential here. One of the cool pieces of this is one of the few decks here where you would use the Super Heavy Samurais to make a synchro. You'd make Diobalantis, I believe, and then he dumps any insects. So then you could send Gokipole. Gokipole searches you an earth insect. So that could be Resonance or Retaliating Sea, I guess, or one of the extenders. So, like, it kind of just gets you a nice piece that you want, and then you continue from there. You know, if you can put a level 2 on field with Diobalantis, potentially get into a Barone, but then also, you know, the cool part is because you made a synchro, Wakushi gives you complete scales, so now you can also pen summon a bunch of stuff out of your hand, which is pretty cool. So I'm curious to see if that could be worth it. I still feel like insects need, like, specific insect help, but this is not a bad engine to help a deck that felt like it needed an extra push. Orchist, I mean, I guess we'll put it in potential, but it's very low here. Without Harpoor, it's not there regardless, but I felt like one of the better tools for combining this engine with Super Heavy Samurai was the fact that the Link 1 gave you a free discard every turn. You don't have access to that as easily anymore, so now this engine's just way worse. There's still some cool stuff it does, but until we get Harpoor, or some other way to, like, give them super easy discards, it's, you know, it's going to be in low potential for me. And the last one, I think, is one of the more interesting ones, maybe with, like, Earth Machine. These are, like, the super interesting ones to me. Fire Warrior, or whatever you want to call it. We can call that just straight up Infernoble Knight, Fire Warrior decks, whatever. One really interesting thing is this guy up here. I mentioned this guy at the beginning of the video. He searches any Fire Warrior or dumps a Fire Warrior on summon. So you can make him without normal summoning. And his materials are completely generic, which is crazy to me. That they didn't even make him need, like, warriors or fire warriors or anything. So then he just searches, you know, it could be Sublimation Knight, which is already a 1 card I sold without normal. So now you'd get 3 fire warriors going. That's insane value, especially before I sold. It puts a lot of people in a tough spot of, like, oh, I have hand traps. Do I hand trap them to try and keep them from getting dice sold, or do I save it for I sold? In which case, he's already showing me he's going to have the capability to put enough bodies on field to play through I sold getting stopped. Like, it's kind of a dangerous game for your opponent, for sure. So, could be cool. That's definitely a nice push card for their engine if they choose to play it, but we'll obviously have to see if they want to move on with that stuff or just keep it more pure. But still a cool idea nonetheless. But there's my tier list. It's not really a tier list. We're more so just talking about different options the Super Heavy Samurai engine could end up in. And hopefully you guys learned something new here. Maybe you learned a deck here that you thought you weren't really thinking about, but you're like, oh yeah, there is some cool stuff we can do there. And hopefully it makes you want to mess around a little bit more with something. But I'm out of here for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, let me know your thoughts down below on this list. Is there anything that I have in the wrong tier list in the wrong tier in your opinion? Would you move it to nice? Would you move something down depending on where it's at? Also, is there anything missing here? Are there any decks that also should be considering the Super Heavy engine that I didn't put on here? That's definitely worth mentioning. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that stuff. But I'm out of here for today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.